Alright, what's up guys? In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make your own custom OBS transition. Well, it doesn't have to be for OBS, but your own transition with your own logo, your own text, your own anything. It could be, if you're a gamer, bullets, a nuke dropping, it could be anything. I'm just going to teach you the core steps, and you can be as creative as you want with it and turn it into whatever you want regarding your channel, right? But for this tutorial, I'm going to use my logo. So let's jump right into this, and we're going to name this logo transition. So there we go. And for the width and the height, you want to make that the same as your output for your stream. So my output for my stream is 1920 by 1080, so that's what I'm going to go with. Your frame rate, do 60 frames per second, sorry. And for the duration, do 4 seconds. And for the background color, just leave it black and hit OK. Once you have that done, we're going to import a logo if that's what you're using. If you're just using text, then don't worry about this part. Whatever picture you're importing, import it now. If you're just using text, don't worry about that. All right, so now that we got that in, make sure you size it. Like, that's a little bit too big, I would say. So I'm going to hit S on the keyboard, and you see how I brought up the scale. And I'm just going to scale it down just a little bit. I'd say maybe to 80. Yeah, 80 looks good. All right, so now that we got that done, we're going to go ahead and go up to 2.5 seconds. Where is 2.5? Right there. All right, so once you're at 2.5 seconds, you want to hit P on the keyboard, and that'll bring up the position tab. And you're going to want to hit the little stopwatch here to keyframe it. Once you have it keyframed, you're going to want to go back to the very beginning of the timeline here. Zoom out a little bit so you can see. And you're going to want to grab this logo, your picture, your text, whatever you did. Grab it and hold shift at the same time. And you see how it brought it down perfectly straight. Now, you don't have to bring it down if you don't want. You could have it coming in from the side over here if you wanted it to, from up here, whatever you want to do. All right? You know what? In a way, I sort of like it coming in on an angle. Nah, you know what? I'm just going to keep it coming in from the bottom. All right, so we got it coming in from the bottom. We got that all keyframed. So right now, that's what it looks like, right? All right, cool. But at the same time, see how like just mechanical it looks? It's all just moving one speed. It doesn't look that great. So what we're going to do is we're going to select both these keyframes. And if you right click on one of them and you go to keyframe assist, easy ease. There you go. Now that allows us to enter into this graph editor. And if you don't have this graph editor opened, just right click and go to edit speed graph. Because sometimes by default you're on a different one. All right, so now that we have this open, we're going to want to grab one of these 2 anchor points, and we're going to drag it in. Now what that's going to do is it's going to make it go really slow and then fast coming in. So let's see what that looks like. See how it went slow and fast? All right, so there we go. Now that it's rendered. There we go. Now I don't really like that. I'd rather go fast than slow. So let's go over to here again. We'll leave that there. And we'll drag in this side. So this time it's going to go from fast to slow. We'll bring that over there. There we go. I like that better. Okay, so that looks a lot better than just that mechanical look that it had from the get-go. I know it's not that much of a visual difference, but when you've been doing this for a little bit, and you can really see the difference, believe me. It really makes a big difference. It's hard to explain. It just does. If you like that mechanical look, by all means use it. But this is just the style I like to go for, and it's just basic. Everyone does this thing when it comes to animation. Is easy easing. It just gives something more of a flow because something doesn't move at the same speed constantly all the time. It does change speeds with anything, right? When you're driving a car, you're not always driving the same speed, right? All right. So once you get out of there, right? Now we can. We're done with the whole positioning step. We got it coming in and off out of our picture into our picture, right? So now we can hit P to close that. And now what we want to do is go back to our 2.5 second mark. And you're going to want to see this box right here. You're going to want to check the box underneath it. And that turns this into a 3D layer, which gives us now an X, a Y, and a Z axis point. So now if you hit this little arrow right here and you go to transform, you'll notice right here we got orientation X, Y, Z. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a keyframe on the orientation, the X, the Y, the Z, and the opacity. Okay. Now we're going to come back over here to, we'll say, 40 frames. Nah, we want it just to be just off the picture when it starts. So right there, we'll start it right there. I don't know exactly what frame that is. Here, I'll tell you. It's 31, yeah, 32 frames into the project, okay? So we're at the 32 frames, and we're gonna mess around with the orientation. We're gonna bring the orientation quite a bit. We wanna rotate it quite a bit. So we're gonna go, like, I'd say maybe 320, roughly. Okay, so there's 320. So if you look, now when it comes in, I know it's not much right now that you can see, but once we add those different rotations, it'll make a big difference, right? So we got that rotation right now. Okay, so we'll come back to here. We're going to go to the X. We don't really want to do anything on the X, the X rotation is what I don't do nothing on. The Y rotation, we're going to go put that up to maybe, I'd say, I don't know, 225, maybe 250. Let's see what 225. Yeah, let's go 250. Alright, so there's 250 on the Y rotation. On the Z rotation, we're going to want to go, I'd say, 80. We'll do 80 on the Z rotation. Good enough. I don't know. We'll do it exact. So that way you can copy these degrees if you want. So let's see what kind of flip that gives. Alright. So there's the flip we got, but you see how it's still, like, again, we haven't eased this yet, so it doesn't have any motion to it. It's just one stagnant, same fluid motion, nothing changing about it, right? Now you see how that looks like that. Well, now let's go in, grab these 3 keyframes right here, and grab these 3 and these 3, and then just hold down Shift to select the one keyframe that doesn't have the other one corresponding on this side, because we didn't do anything to the X rotation, remember. So we just want to select the Z, the Y, and the orientation keyframes. Once you have that done, right click, keyframe assist, easy ease. Okay, now that we got those easy eased, go back to the graph editor. Now we're going to grab these, this end part here, and we're just going to drag them in a bit, right? We're going to grab this, we're going to drag them in a bit. Alright, I'm going to grab this, drag this one in a bit. Alright, so let's see now how it looks. See how it just gave it that fast flip? Geez, I can't talk today. Anytime I record a video, I stumble my words. It's crazy. I'm going to have to get used to that now that I'm doing YouTube videos, eh? So anyway, I like this motion a lot better. It looks way better instead of it just being that, like, I don't know. You tell me what you think. If you don't like it, keep that mechanical way. I like that flip better. Okay, so now that we got the way that it's going to enter the scene, so that's basically you're going to have your gameplay, whatever right now is going to be where the screen would be black. Then your logo is going to come, or your text, or whatever you're using, your bullets, your bomb, whatever is going to come winging up onto the screen. And any motion that you chose to do, right? Any flip. You don't have to use those exact degrees that I used if you didn't want to, but that's what I like to do. Okay, so now that you got that, we're at the 2.5 second mark again, right? So we'll get out of this graph editor. Alright, so now we've got all our stuff easy ease that we've done so far, and that's given a different motion. It looks great. Okay, so now hit U. It'll close all the keyframes off of our site, or off of our file or layer here. If you hit U, it always brings up all the keyframes that you've set, just so you know. But anyway, let's go back to 2.5 seconds. Now that you're at 2.5 seconds, we're going to add one more little effect to it. If you hit Control Space, it'll bring up this tab. If you don't have this, all you have to do is go to videocopilot.com, and it's just a free plugin, and it makes life so much easier. You're able to type in your effect here, like, so you don't even have to drag your mouse over to this effects and preset tab, type it in, which you can do. You could type in the one that we're going to do. We're going to add CC Light Sweep, right? And there it is right here. Or if you have that plugin that I have, all you have to do was hit Control Space with the layer selected, Control Space, and then type in CC Light Sweep. And it just automatically applies it to the layer. It's so much better than having to go over here, type it in, find it, click it, drag it. It saves a lot of time once you start really doing animation. It's an amazing plugin. I suggest you download it if you're planning on doing this stuff. So anyway, now that we're at the 2:30 mark, you see how now that we have this selected up here. If you don't have this selected, you won't have that little circle right there to pick and move your glare off the logo. As soon as you select it, now this circle will show up. you click on this circle, and drag it off your logo. Now that it's off your logo, we're gonna have a keyframe, and we're gonna keyframe the center mark right here. Once you keyframe the center, you're gonna move forward to, I'd say 320. Yeah, go to 320, and then drag this circle over to the other side. So now what that just did is, we got our flip, we got our glare. Now 1 minute. Let's move the glare, instead of it starting right as our flip ends, let's have the glare starting 20 frames before the flip ends, and we'll move this back 20 frames. So this will end at 3 now, and this will start at 2 minutes and 10 milliseconds in. Okay? So just copy what my thing's there. Now watch how this looks. That looks better. Okay, so now if we keyframe these two and go to Easy Ease and then go over to this graph editor, here's our graph for the glare right here. You're going to want to click on here. Now it's going to go fast and then slow. So let's see how that looks. Might want it to just stay a little bit more mechanical, because you want to be able to recognize it. If it's going by that fast, your eye's not even going to catch it. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're just going to keep it more so mechanical like that. I don't even know if I changed it much, but I'd keep it so looking basically like mine. Okay, so now we can close that. Now basically we got all of our effects done to the logo so far. Somewhere at this point right here on the timeline, we're going to have it vanish. Like we're going to have a picture come onto your screen, or you could just have a shape whip by, and then once as it's whipping by, this logo has to disappear and your next scene has to show up, and that's the point of the transition, right? But we'll do that after this next step that I'm about to show you. So for right now, let's lock this layer, and we're going to go back over here to our project tab, and we're going to bring in a file, and we're going to use this right here. And you can use any picture you want. You can use a plain color, a blue color, a green color, just the shape. And if you were going to do that, you'd go up here and you'd just select the ellipse tool, and you'd put a circle around this whole entire picture. Or if you want to use a picture, you could do what I did and you load a picture in here. I went into Photoshop and I made it just look a little bit brighter and a little bit nicer. You can do that, or you can just take one off the internet and put it directly into here. That's all up to you. So anyway, I take the picture, right? Now I put it on top of my logo animation layer, or my logo PNG picture, sorry. And now that you can't see it, now look at, now our whole thing's covered, right? Now, 1 second, if we go here and we tap on this, oh, I locked it, 1 second. Go in here, we can see all our last keyframe, and our last keyframe there for the glare was at 3 seconds. So we know that's our last keyframe. That's where this has to start coming down and covering the picture. But everything before that, this picture can't be showing. So we're going to click on this metal look right here that I have, and we're going to add the effect CC Jaws. And like I said, you can type this in over here in the effects and presets tab if you would like, which you're going to probably have to do if you don't have that plugin downloaded. And look at, if I go up this to 100%, look at, there's my image, right? But see, I don't like these spikes. You can change from the spikes to this, the one I'm going to use, the Robo Jaw, because it just suits the metal look. Or you could go to blocks, or you can do waves, right? And these ain't the only transition effects you can use. If you go up to this tab right here, effects, and you go to transition, there's all these different effects right here. You can apply them, screw around with them, and it's all basically the same thing. You just mess around with this completion thing, and it'll show you, and you do basically the same steps that I'm going to show you to do this, you do to those other transitions. It's all the same things. I'm showing you the core steps, and you can apply it to anything afterwards, okay? So just be creative as you want after that. This is just to show you exactly what to do and how to set it up and how to make it work in OBS and so forth and so on and so forth, right? So anyway, now that we're at 3 seconds, where the last bit of our glare just went past our our logo right there. We want this though to be at a 0 or at 100%. So that way, all the way up until our glare started or finished, we were able to see all that animation, right? So we're going to put a keyframe at 3 seconds in. So we got a keyframe. Perfect. All right. So now that we're at 3, we're going to go over to 330, and you're going to come from completion tab here, and you're going to bring it to 0%, and that's going to close it. Oh shit, to 0%. and that's going to close it. Then you're going to come over to the 4-second tab. I don't know why this does it. It puts me to 359. 1 second here. Give me 1 second. I don't like how it does that. Like, it's stupid. If anyone knows how to fix that, let me know. We'll just leave it for now. Hopefully yours says 4 seconds. If it doesn't, it's not that big of a deal. But for some reason, mine keeps making me go 1 second short than what I'm picking. I don't understand why. It's weird. So anyway, we're going to go right to the end of your timeline, go to the very end, and then now you want to go back to the effects, because you'll still be at the effects. You didn't have to click over there like I did, but you're going to go over to here and drag this up to 100% again. So now what this did was it made sure your whole animation was shown, your glare, then this comes down, comes back up, but in this point right here, I'm going to let this load in so that way you can see everything in real time. Okay, it closed down and opened up. Okay. So now you got your animation, right? You got everything here. Now when this closes down, in this second that it's closed down, you want your logo, your text, whatever was in that spot to disappear. And when it opens back up, you want your next scene to show up there. Oh, what's that noise? Oh, someone's subscribing to me. Okay. So anyway. Yeah, that was someone subscribing to me, sorry. But anyway, that just made me lose total thought of what I was just saying. Jeez, I totally forgot now. Jesus. Okay. That ain't good. Okay, so now we got this closing and this opening. Oh yeah, where I was at with this. In the second that this is closed, you want your logo, your text, whatever was in that position to disappear, right? You don't want it to be there when it opens. When it opens, you want your new scene to be in that place. That's the whole point of the transition, right? So what we need to do is, now that we have that set up, we have our, this is our close, this is us being open. That's what this whole keyframe here is. Because if I didn't put that keyframe, it would have been blocking this whole scene right here. So we had to make sure we put that keyframe there, which then when we put this keyframe here, it allowed it to close, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to blow up the timeline, just so we can make the logo behind it disappear. And we're going to go ahead 2 frames. So this was the closing mark right here for 100%, right? Now look at, if we go right here, and we go up to the completion tab, and we go 100%. Ugh. Why is it doing that? Can't see now. Okay, nope, that didn't work. Okay, so what we need to do is, I know what I did wrong. Scratch that idea. Okay, so you want to go ahead 2 frames again. And you see this little button right here next to the thing? This is to add a keyframe. You want to hit a keyframe. And you want to make sure that's at 0%. Just like that one. Okay, that's what I did wrong. I told you to put it at 100, and it shouldn't have been at 100. It should have been at 0. I keep getting the coordinates, or the coordinates messed up, because you would think 100% would mean it would be open. You know what I mean? Not or 100% would mean it would be closed, and 100 you couldn't see the picture, but whatever. So anyway, I hope you get what I'm trying to say. So in this little 2 frame gap right here is where we want our logo to go disappearing, right? So up until this point, we want our logo to be visible. So we're going to go back into our logo animation, logo animation. We're going to go to the transform tab, and you know where we had the opacity here? We're going to hit a keyframe mark on the 30th frame. So what was that, 2.5 seconds? Where are we at here? I can't even remember now. Oh, 3.5 seconds. Okay, so we're at 3.5 seconds here. So you want to hit a keyframe right here for the opacity at 100%. Then in this middle keyframe, right there, right? Sorry, in this middle keyframe, we're going to bring the opacity down to 0. So that way, within the time that this door closes, our logo has now vanished, and now when it opens, it's a new scene, and it's a transparent background, right? Pretty cool, right? All right, so now that we got that, we can extend the timeline here. And now I want to go back and I want to change this because I don't like this whole sharp thing. I want it to be, oh shit, I'm in the wrong thing, sorry. want to go up here, and I want to change this from waves to robo jaw, because I think that just looks better. And something else cool that you could do is you can add some effects to this as well, right? So I want this to look a little thicker, so I'm going to give it a drop shadow. And like I said, you can get it from over in the effects and presets tab. That's just my fast way of getting it. We'll turn up the opacity a bit. I'll bring out the distance a bit so we can see it, just to give it that drop look, that 3D look. Alright, so we got that. So let's see, now that we play this through, how this looks. Perfect. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so there, that's everything. You could even add a sound effect if you wanted to, like, you know, like those doors shutting, and that's really easy to do too. Like, I'm not going to do it, but I will show you quick if you wanted me to. Because actually, adding sound in After Effects is a little weary. Like, it's a little weird if you don't know what you're doing. Like, I was going to add sound too, that's why I have this sound here. So we'll just bring it in just so I can show you quick, right? We'll drop this down in here, and look at it. If you were to hit space, oh. Before, when you used to hit space, you used to never hear anything. Wow, I'm surprised. Okay, so 1 minute. Now, if we bring this over here, where's the door shut? Okay. You'd have to have it sped up. You'd have to screw around with it a bit to line it up with the footage and everything like that, but I'm obviously not going to do that for this tutorial. But you definitely could, or if you had music you wanted to put in the background, it's as simple as that, as in laying it in. Before, when you used to bring in a tune in After Effects, when you'd hit space, you wouldn't be able to preview it. You used to have to hit over here, render it to RAM, and blah, 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 blah. I don't know if it's just because I have a good computer now that I don't need to do that, because before, on my Mac, I used to have to hit render in order to be able to see it, but I guess I don't need to now, so that's pretty dope. Okay, but anyway, I'm deleting this layer because I don't need it. We got everything done here. Now I'm going to show you how to export it, and then I'm going to show you how to put it into OBS and show you how it works and blah, 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 right? So, okay, that's done. Now, if you hit Control M on your keyboard, it'll bring you over to the render queue, or you could just hit File, Export, Add to Render Queue. That's just a shortcut that I'm showing you. Go to your best settings here. Make sure you're on best, resolution full. Keep all your settings the same as me. See how it goes to 359? Like, really? It should have been to 4. Like, I don't know why mine keeps doing that crap. It's really weird. Wonder why it does that. I wonder if now, if I go here, no, somehow it just screws me for some reason. I don't understand why, but oh well, I don't really care. Okay, so anyway, output mode. Instead of AVI format, you don't want to use AVI. You want to go over to QuickTime. QuickTime, for some reason, works so much better when it comes to a transition. I don't know why, but it does. For your channels, you want to use RGB and alpha, not RGB. If you use RGB, you won't have this transparent background like you see right here in the background for me. You'll have a black background, and basically the whole transition effect was pointless if that's what you were doing, right? So anyway, and one more thing. Oh, before, like I said about the audio, you used to have to check a box here to have your audio show up in the render, but now you don't need to because now it just shows. So scratch that out as well. All right, so anyway, you hit OK. Over here is your output. You want to output it to, say, where? The desktop. All right, so logo transition, final project. Cool. And then we're going to hit save, and then you're going to hit render, and it'll only take a second for it to be done, so let's give it a sec. Bam, bam. So these are just core basics, right? Like I said, I could have really spent time and added up more effects and blah, 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 made it look a lot more cooler if I really wanted to, and that's basically just using these core components that I just showed you. Nothing else would really change. It's all about just changing those, putting those keyframes in and changing those 100% and 0% back and forth and keyframing them in. It's nothing harder than that, really. The only thing that's a little tricky is at the end there. Like I said, when those doors closed or whatever you have going past your logo or text, you want that in that second that it's covering it, you want your logo or text to disappear, so that way when it gets off of your text, your scene's there and not your logo still sitting there, your text on top of your scene. You don't want that, right? That's really the only tricky part about it. So anyway, keep that, now that you're done, I'd keep this open, because one thing that does help if you forget, like me, because I'm terrible at things like this. Like say I have to go back to my timeline here, because when you bring this into OBS, you're going to have to remember these keyframes right here. Where you set these medium 2 keyframes, you're going to have to remember that. So it's good to keep it open in case you do forget, right? So now what you want to do is you want to open up OBS. So now that you got OBS open, right, you're going to want to go over to the Scene Transition tab right here, and you're going to want to click on the plus sign. Now that you have the plus sign open, click on Stinger, and you're going to want to hit, type in logo transition screen, or logo transition. Okay, hit OK, and then this is going to come up. Open up, go to where you saved your file there. Logo transition, final project right here, open it. There we go, we have it open. Now you want to change this transition point type from time to frames. Now that that's done, you want your transition point. Now that's the middle point that I was talking about. So 1 minute, now we're going to come back here. And now remember, every second is 60 frames. So 1 second is 60, 2 seconds is 120, 3 seconds is 180, right? So then you want to go 180 plus 30. Okay, so that's 210. So 210, we're going to go 211, because that's in the center of those, right? So 211, right? Is that right? Yeah, 180, 190, 210. Yeah, 211. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so we're going to go back here, go to here, type in 211. And basically, what's this? I don't know what this tab is. I've never really messed with that. And I've never really messed with that. So that's it. Now you want to hit OK. Now, what should happen is when we go switching from our desktop to say our what's it called? Our be right back scene. Look at, here comes that. Bam, bam. There's the animation, right? Sounds perfect, looks perfect, right? You can switch now from this scene over to this scene. Bam. Right? Perfect. Looks great. Switch over to this scene from this scene. It is as simple as that. And like I said, with those basic few core steps, you can take this to so many different levels. Like, look how fast I did that. I just did that whole thing from start to finish, what, 15 minutes tops? Like, if you really wanted to, you could sit here and add so much more stuff in here. You know what I mean? Like, it's perfect. Other than that, guys, that's today's tutorial. I posted a tutorial yesterday, a more in-depth one, how I did the glare on the logo, just to walk people through it, and more stuff about keyframes and whatnot like that. I'm going to be posting a lot of videos from now on. The same thing with the Black Ops 4 emblems. I like doing those for people. I see those are doing very well on the channel. I just hit 800 subs, and I truly appreciate it, guys. I really do. I'm going to start doing files for download in my description, where you'll be able to download the project files that I'm talking about in the video. If it has to do with Photoshop, After Effects, or Illustrator, whether it's anything like that. Also, I'm going to start doing like brush giveaways, like brush packs and gradient packs and blah, 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 right? I'll definitely be letting you guys know that. I let people know a lot of information over Instagram as well, which is on the top of the screen there if you want to follow it. It's 2 underscore dashes in between Damaged and Soul, because some ass munch took my name. So, and it's an underscore dash after Soul too. Geez, so I got screwed out of that. So I had to make that my name on everything. So, yeah. Other than that, well, besides on YouTube, but you don't have to type it in like that on YouTube. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a good day. Stay creative, and yeah, take it easy. Peace.